Lakers by 6 in the fourth. Whichever team wins that game will give its coach the honor of being on hand for the All-Star game as the Western Conference coach. Oakley grabs the rebound and then half throws Hill to the floor, but Hill had him wrapped up, and the foul is on Grant.
Oakley's great. You know, he's one of those guys that, you know, you always want a guy like this on your team, and you hate to play against him because he's always hitting you, he's always pushing you, he's always doing something to get inside your head. But you want a guy like this on your team because he'll come up with the big rebounds, and he'll also set the tough screens and make the good passes.
So either Del Harris or George Karl coaches the West, depending on the outcome of today's Sonics-Lakers game. It looks like Phil Jackson will coach the East. The cutoff is after Sunday's games. But there's a chance that it could be Larry Bird if the Pacers beat the Celtics tonight in Indianapolis, and the Bulls lose tomorrow at home against the Jazz.
Well, I think it would be great if Bird got a chance to coach the All-Star team, because I would love to see Bird in the huddle telling Michael Jordan what to do. That would be a sight to see, and I would love to be in the building talking about it.
Oakley with the steal.
And that's why Charles Oakley hurts you. You know, he does all the little dirty things.
Houston all the way to the hoop. And Oakley is there to tip it home, asserting himself here on the floor.
He's the man, and they love him. Look, they love him.
Larry Johnson throwing a bear hug on him. Well, if he's the butler, the Mansion's looking pretty good right now.
You can't back it.
And cut it to 4. New York rattles off 7 unanswered points in 62 seconds and leads by 11.
Charles Oakley. That's the reason why that happened.
At both ends of the floor, he's been doing it. Offensively, he now has 15 points. Grant Hill gives it up to Seeley. And Malik Seeley hits.
These last 5 minutes, you know, it'd be interesting to see who Detroit tries to establish as their go-to guy. You know, will it be Grant Hill? Will it be Brian Williams? Will it be Jerry Stackhouse? Who steps up and supplies the energy for them down the stretch?
Well, if there's been one rap throughout his career on Hill, it's that he doesn't demand the ball and really assert himself in these situations. What do you think?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think, you know, his game is one that, you know, dictates that he can do it himself and he can also get other people involved. You know, he's like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. Those guys don't always take the last shot. They'll draw and create, and then they can make the shot also.
Childs almost picked it off. Dumar's kept it alive. And now they do steal it. Here comes Allen Houston.
And this is what Bill Collins talked to us about yesterday. He talked about how at the end of the game, with 5 minutes to go, his team seems to fall apart. You know, he talked about them having a 1-point lead against Chicago a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and 4 minutes to go in the game, they fell apart. You know, that's his dilemma. You know, how do you get them to complete and finish the game?
They're a 500 team that could be better. They've had any number of games this year where inside the last 4 minutes they haven't been able to get the critical stop or the critical basket when they've needed it. But, you know, for the sake of argument, it's true that Michael Jordan will give it up if he's double-teamed with the game on the line, like last year's clincher in Game 6 when he found Steve Kerr. But he wants the ball, and he's going to take that shot with the game on the line if there's any shot at all there for him. And some people think that maybe the more apt comparison is not Hill to Jordan, but Hill to Scottie Pippen. Maybe Hill's game is more similar to Scottie's.
See, I think mentally and psychologically for Grant Hill, he has to keep pushing the envelope and keep trying to reach the level of Michael Jordan. And don't settle for reaching the level of a Scottie Pippen. You know, you always shoot for the moon, and if you fall on the star, it's okay. You know, Grant Hill is one of those guys that can take over a basketball game and will take it over.
Here he goes to the hoop, but he's stripped of the ball. And the Knicks may have just about put this one away. They're up by 11, just over 3 minutes to go.
You know, I think he's got a chance in this league to be one of the top players, you know, to win championships.
Houston with the turnaround, it's no good. And a whistle whistle away from the ball as they tussle down low.
See, when you look at Grant Hill, you look at the guys who are around him, and you say, do these guys complement his skill set? You know, Grant Hill's skill set is he's a slasher. He likes to get into the lane. He can control the ball out front and underneath. Now, is the guys who are playing with him, do they complement his skill set? Does Brian Williams complement Grant Hill's skill set? Does Jerry Stackhouse complement Grant Hill's skill set? Terry Mills complemented his skill set. Otis Thorpe complemented his skill set. The jury is still out if Brian Williams and Stackhouse complements Grant Hill's skill set. And who are you going to build a team around, Brian Williams or Grant Hill?
Childs through a crowd, then back up to Oakley, who misses from 20, and Williams has it. Oakley has 17 points. His high game for the year is 19 against Vancouver. He almost matched it there. Stackhouse with a brilliant move. And he has 30. Both teams now are over the foul limit as we move into the last 2.5 minutes of play. Childs all the way to the basket. Chris Childs with a big hoop. And it's back to a 10-point lead. Knicks trying to win 4 in a row for the first time all year. And closing in on it. The Hill missed, rebounded by Oakley.
But Detroit's going to have some tough decisions to make in the offseason. You know, they made the trade for Jerry Stackhouse. They got rid of the power forward of the future and Theo Ratliff. You know, and now they're looking.
That was a 2, and Houston missed it.
Now, if they lose Stackhouse in the offseason, they got 2 spots that they have to fill. They have to fill the shooting guard spot if Stackhouse leaves, and they also have to fill the power forward position because they don't have Theo Ratliff there. So they've kind of gambled here.
Stackhouse, who already has 30, was fouled by Childs. While we have a chance, perhaps Red Holzman, the 77-year-old former coach of the Knicks, took them to 2 championships with great teams in 1970 and 73. A star in the early years as a player, the early years of the NBA, late 40s, early 50s. Perhaps Red Holzman at age 77, ailing with leukemia, hospitalized the past couple of weeks, is watching this game. There isn't a person in the NBA who doesn't send their best wishes to one of the great figures in the history of the league and in the history of New York sports, Red Holzman.
Without question, you know, guys like him, they paved the way for, you know, young guys like us to be here today.
Stackhouse with 32, but it might not be enough. Johnson battling in the lane, and it won't drop for him.
That's good defense by Brian Williams. Larry Johnson gave him every fake, and Brian Williams didn't go for any of them.
Malik Sealy with a 3 that might have given them a chance, but the ball out of bounds to New York.
Brian's a little upset right now. You know, he's a very intense guy. You know, he wants to win. They've come off the road. He's missed the last 2 games. He's trying to do anything he can to get his team going. They seem to be running in mud right now.
Detroit 2 for 9 on threes. The Knicks 8 of 13. That alone explains the difference, although there have been other factors. Hill has it, but only 45 seconds remain. They trail by 8. Stackhouse. Dumars. Hill could have taken the 3, instead takes it to the